Alan and Billy faced the worst, yet most unforgettable night of their lives. A simple playdate turned into the beginning of something far beyond Earth. It wasn't just a bright night. It was eerie, electric, and strangely alive. That was the night everything changed. 7 years ago, it was a regular afternoon in Ms. Ketty's science class. The topic was planets, but Alan had bigger questions. "Madam, can alien ships move faster than light?" A few kids giggled. Ms. Ketty sighed. "Alan, not again. Let's stick to real science, not alien fantasies." The class laughed louder. Alan felt small. That evening, back in his space-themed room with glowing star stickers and a model solar system hanging above his bed, Alan stared at the ceiling. Do aliens really not exist? His thoughts were interrupted by his mom's voice. "Alan, your dad and I are heading out for a party. Susan Auntie is joining too. You and Billy stay here, okay? No shouting and no wrestling matches." Alan grinned. Billy was his favorite cousin, and tonight was going to be fun. Moments later, Billy ran in with a huge toy bag, nearly knocking Alan over at the door. They played, laughed, and made a mess of the living room. But after a while, the games got boring. That's when curiosity struck. "Let's explore the house," Alan whispered. They roamed into different rooms until they reached the garage. It smelled dusty, cardboard boxes piled high, and tools hung on the wall like metal bats. But something caught their eyes near the shelf, an old, strange-looking laptop. It was smaller than most laptops, dusty, with tiny, blinking lights. "Must be an old toy," Billy guessed. They carried it upstairs to Alan's room, their footsteps light with excitement. The moment they entered the room, something weird happened. The device turned on by itself. The screen glowed a soft blue. A light hum buzzed from within. The boys stared at each other, eyes wide. Then they saw the note stuck to its back. K2-18b connector. Alan's brain lit up. "That's the planet I learned about today," he said, voice trembling. "It's super far, like 120 light years away. They think it could have oceans and maybe life." They laughed nervously, still thinking it was just a cool coincidence. "Probably a toy made by a space fan," Billy shrugged. But when Alan tried to shut the device, it wouldn't close. Instead, the screen flickered and displayed something new. Rotating star maps, strange constellations, and a blinking red dot marked K2-18b. Then a loading bar appeared with a deep hum vibrating from inside the device. This wasn't a toy. This wasn't even a laptop. Alan's heart thudded. He looked at Billy, who stared back, wide-eyed and pale. "This isn't normal," Alan whispered. They didn't know it yet, but the house they were standing in wasn't just any home. Years ago, it belonged to a scientist named Dr. Rank, a brilliant but underrated alien researcher who had vanished without a trace. The world had moved on, and his heirs, unmoved by his work, sold the property off to Alan's family. What no one realized, what Alan's parents never thought to question, was that this home had been Dr. Rank's secret lab. Even more uncanny? The room Alan now called his own, the room decorated with glowing stars, model planets, and a hanging solar system, was precisely aligned with the signal coordinates to K2-18b. It wasn't themed by coincidence. It was built that way. That's why Alan got the space room he always wanted. It was the very reason his parents bought the house, because Alan insisted. As the screen loaded, more strange signals appeared. The room began to pulse softly with a pale blue glow. Alan's skin tingled, the symbols flashing on the device. Alan had seen them before. He gasped and darted under his bed, pulling out an old, dusty journal he'd found in the room weeks ago. But doesn't know that this is Dr. Rank's notebook. Alan and Billy flipped through the pages, matching symbols from the device to the ones in the book. The patterns started to make sense. One message read, "Composition recognized, atmosphere stable, preparing reply." Then suddenly, the screen turned pitch black. For a moment, nothing. Then, one line blinked into view. "Hello, Alan and Billy. Both boys froze. Their mouths opened, but no words came out. Sweat slid down Billy's cheek. Alan's knees shook. How did it know their names? Before they could react, a piercing white light shone through the windows, flooding the room. The planets hanging from the ceiling began to rotate. The whole solar system mobile spun wildly, faster and faster. Then, with a loud click, a tiny flying orb detached from the mobile and hovered. It opened midair. Out came figures, small at first, but as they floated to the ground, they grew taller, their limbs stretching, their forms shimmering with faint, translucent hues. They weren't human. The boys screamed. "Silence," one of the beings commanded, in a voice that didn't come from its mouth but inside their heads. The aliens began scanning the room with handheld devices. Their eyes finally settled on the journal in Alan's hands. One pointed, "Give us the book." "No!" Alan shouted, hugging the journal tightly. "This is ours." The alien stepped closer. "That book contains critical data. We need it to construct our next habitat. Without it, we cannot survive." Alan shook his head. The alien extended a hand. In one smooth move, it pulled the journal from his grip. "Thank you," it said flatly, "for reactivating the connection." "What do you mean?" Billy asked. The alien turned. Dr. Rank began receiving transmissions from K2-18b years ago. We intercepted the signal and made direct contact with him. Over time, we visited him secretly many times. Each visit, he helped us without hesitation. But we made a mistake. We took him without his consent. We thought he could help us more from our world. But in our haste, we left behind his connector device and this journal. We've been waiting for 18 months to re-establish contact. Only now, because of you two, we succeeded. Alan and Billy stood in stunned silence. "Will you take us too?" Alan finally asked, his voice shaking. "No," the alien replied. "You helped us. We won't repeat our mistake. Mr. Rank can't return to Earth now, but he will communicate with you. You are now our Earth representatives." And with that, the light dimmed. The flying orb returned to the mobile, and the figures faded away like mist under the morning sun. 7 years later, Alan and Billy work with advanced research units studying alien life. They are young, brilliant, and seen as Earth's foremost voices in interstellar communication. And with Dr. Rank's guidance, they have already completed the construction of the new K2-18b habitat.